Agriculture is a backbone of the economy in many places, totaling about 25% or more of GDP in several developing countries and representing a prime opportunity to employ youth. A new report on the role of youth in agriculture from Heifer International identifies challenges preventing youth from fully engaging in farming, most notably lack of financing, land markets, and training. And that's precisely why we scouted for an institution that supports youth, and that's how we landed at YMCA Limuru. So this show is dedicated to everyone who supports youth and also for the other youth to know that there is space for them in the agricultural sector. Well, shall we explore youth in agriculture? Let's go. Thanks, Peter. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us from. Thank you so much for creating time to be with us today. This is Kilimo na Biashara Show and we are in Limuru, and if you've been here, then you know the weather is erratic right here. 1 minute it's sunny, the second it's raining, it's drizzling, so that is what you should expect today, erratic weather. I know we've been getting so many inquiries on Linda, these farms that you visit, where do they get the field officers? Where do they get agronomists or even veterinary officers? And we got the answer for you. We had to do this show just for you. And here they do a lot of youth empowerment and training youth in agriculture, and that's what we are going to focus today, because you don't know whether your next field manager, agronomist, veterinary officer will be from this facility. So shall we go join them and learn more about what they do in this facility? So let's go meet them. Mr. Karei.
Yes, how are you?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us.
Yes, welcome to Kenya YMCA College.
I've heard so much about YMCA, and especially now that you're dealing with agriculture, youth in agriculture. Tell us more about that.
This is Kenya YMCA College of Agriculture and Technology, one of the many colleges of Kenya YMCA in Kenya. Kenya YMCA College of Agriculture and Technology was started in 1968 by the Kenya Young Men Christian Association to look at young people and see how they can be helped. One of our mission is empowering young people so that they can be able to help themselves and the society. That is what we are doing at Kenya YMCA College of Agriculture and Technology here in Limuru.
I know there are different YMCAs here in Kenya, but why agriculture in this facility? You focus so much on agriculture. Why is that?
It is the backbone of our economy. More than 70% of our people rely and derive their livelihood in agriculture. And as the population increases, the many young people need to be shown how to become more responsible by utilizing their energies and skills in a skill that will benefit them, not only themselves but also the society.
So even before we go to the farm, what's the capacity of this facility? How many youths do you have here?
Currently, our population is 300 students, young men and women, almost gender balanced. So the facilities are designed in such a way that we have equal gender balance. The students are doing courses in agriculture, animal production, animal health, agribusiness, and in addition, we have a farm where we have a demonstration on various farming skills.
Okay, then let's go to the farm.
There is already a technician there who is already going to
Okay.
They are sisters.
Let's go. Derito.
How are you, Rinda? Very well. Karibu sana.
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
I see that. What's happening here? Is it a class in session?
What we normally do is that we normally have the animals coming here to first of all roam and also be part of the lawn mowing here, because as you can see, this is a field for students to practice in. But the benefit of the cows having some grass is the fact that when they eat grass, it helps their digestive system, because they are ruminants, so the grass is able to help them, not just eating the dry matter or other things. And at the same time also, it's cost saving, because it saves the cost on the mowing and also the cost of feeds, because they are feeding what is natural for them.
And I see the students are here, so they are here to be trained on specifically livestock.
You see, normally when the students come here, we normally want them to have a real life experience of what happens in the field. It's not like just classwork only, so they need to see the animals and understand how to gauge an animal is healthy or is not healthy. Because just by looking at an animal like this, it will be able to tell you about the skin, about the composure of how it looks like. That's why even when they are coming here, it's better for them, because you'll be able to observe the body movement and also be able to see how healthy the animal is. So that's why now it's able to tell you whether it needs deworming and the kind of nutrition you're giving it, so that you give it a balanced diet.
So aside from the cattle that we see here, do you have other types of animals or livestock?
Okay, you see today when you're looking at the lifestyles of people, the size of rat is decreasing. And for livestock, especially when you have either dairy animals or beef animals, they require a big area. Like when you come to the demand for meat, we have pork is the one that is meeting a lot of demand, because like even in China, a country of 1.4 billion people, they have more pork than they have of the dairy animals or the beef animals. And also the speed at which pork does is the one that we also want the people to appreciate, that you are having a smaller space, but once you have the right feeding system and the hygiene systems that are required, you are able to have a higher conversion than when you're having livestock.
Ah, so you also have pigs here?
Yes, they are there. We also have poultry, because there is poultry meat and eggs, which is also part of it. We have goats, and goat we have for both milk and also for meat. So when you have that mix, it's a good thing. Recently, we started doing the catfish, because fish is also a nutritious thing. So nowadays, you find people putting fish like it's outside, but it's part of the livestock systems.
So with all that you've mentioned, tell me, these students have to choose on a specific niche that they want to learn about, or they just do general learning on agriculture?
Because most of the farms are diversified, and when you even go today, you want people to look at all the opportunities that are available. We want somebody coming out of here to be all-sided, because you may go somewhere and you find somebody have some pigs and they need your assistance. So you can't say that just because you did livestock only or the cows only that you don't know how to do pigs, or you only did the cows, you don't know how to do poultry. So you're supposed to be well-rounded, such that even when they go out there, they're able to serve the farmers in a holistic way, including even the feeding formulation and also how to ensure that the animal is well fed.
Tell us some of the benefits that these students or these youth really get from learning in this institution.
Number one, we want the on practical farm experience, such that when somebody goes out there, they don't say that we've never seen this kind of animals, we don't know how to do this. They have a first-hand experience, including milking, feed formulation, and now when it comes to learning the clinical science of diseases and the other effects of things like the parasites, like now the worms and the others, they need to understand such that even when they look at an animal, they'll know that, yes, I'm able to diagnose and give the correct assistance to the farmer or do the correct thing to the animal. Including now, when you look at the milk records, they're able to tell you whether an animal is declining or whether an animal is able to keep a steady production.
And what's the criteria if a student wants to join this facility?
We are looking at two categories, certificate and diploma, whereby for some of the people who even have KCP, they can start with the certificate and they understand all the basic things that are needed. And then we have the diploma, whereby we talk about the KCSE and we look at C- And some of the people who have D plus, but they have some good understanding of some of the agricultural aspects, they are also welcome.
Is this facility free? Do they pay? Do these students pay?
There's a fee because YMCA, despite it supporting the young men, being a Christian organization, it also requires some of the basic issues because like food, they must be provided. There is the teaching staff. But we cannot say that it's among the most expensive. It's among the affordable ones because we want more people to understand the basics of agriculture and they do it correctly. Because like when you look at the size of Kenya versus Israel, Israel is able to produce more than Kenya is doing. Yet, when you look at the size of Kenya, is about 10 times the size of Israel. So the difference is the skill level that the Israelites are using.
And tell me about the emerging trends in the sector so far that this facility is training these youth.
We are looking at job creation and the mental perspective of anyone looking at agribusiness. So before, people just used to look at animals or livestock just like that, but now we want people to look at it as a business. So therefore, what we are looking at is how do you even have the right records so that when you are making a profit, you can say that you have this kind of a profit. The other part that we are talking about is feed formulation, because one of the biggest aspects of livestock production today is the cost of feeds. So what options do you have to reduce your cost of production? And that's why we want many of them to understand that when you need to reduce your cost, you need to do the right feed mixing.
Are there some of the students that I can engage here, because it will be an injustice if I have them here and they don't get to tell me some of their experiences?
You see, we said that this is a practical institution. Yes. So without talking to the students, they tell you their perspectives and what they have learned. It will also be not good for you and also for them. So welcome and have them so that they can talk about how they are feeling and what they have learned.
Ah, they're right here.
I have been in agricultural field in this institution, and I have learned very many different practices that are supposed to be carried out there. So that is basically about animal production, that is the husbandry practices, yeah, and about feed formulation, and I can say it's a good experience.
The youths out there, I encourage them to take this course. It's a good course. You can employ yourself. It's not talking about agriculture. If you have your farm, you can start your farming and there are markets. As for now, about agriculture and about the economy have gone high. So the agriculture outputs and the inputs, they are in high demand.
And I think that's a good place to take a short commercial break. That was just the livestock section, and you've heard the dreams and visions of this particular youth who are willing to take up this opportunity to learn about agriculture. Today, we are focusing on youth empowerment and youth in agriculture. And remember, we are in Limuru, YMCA to be precise. And if you can see right here, youth are at work. So let's just engage Nderito a little bit more to tell us more about what's happening in this particular area, right? Nderito, so what is happening here?
Climate smart agriculture is important today because it helps you use the limited space and reduce the inputs that we're using. Like one of the things that you can see here is that we're using a lot of mulch. Like most of the places we see people burning the maize stalks or maize stover and the other crop material. And we tell them that's one of the worst things that you can do because you are losing your nutrition. So what we are doing here is encouraging the decomposition of the mulch into the soil because it builds organic matter, which helps in increasing the soil biological activity. And once you increase the soil biological activity, you reduce on the amount of fertilizers that are needed and also the moisture requirement.
So before we talk about climate smart agriculture, which crops do you have here?
One of the things that we talk about in climate smart agriculture, and also we want the youths to understand, is crop rotation. So when you talk about crop rotation, you want to have different crop families being in different plots, and after every 2 or 3 seasons, you exchange them so that you reduce disease and pest buildup, so that once your farm is organized and arranged in that way, you have less problems of diseases and pests, and your productivity is much better.
And since you've mentioned climate smart agriculture, tell me, or perhaps just give us a highlight of the involvement of youth in climate smart agriculture.
When you're talking about climate smart agriculture, you're talking about reducing the amount of inputs that we are using, and also using the natural crop or cycles in the environment, like nitrogen fixation with the legumes. Like now you can see the beans there, they are for nitrogen fixation. You can see there is also the fumigation effect when you're having things like ricks, because all crop roots secrete or produce a certain kind of a chemical in the soil that relates differently to the microorganisms. And the microorganisms, we are talking about the bacteria and we are talking about the fungi.
I still want to know the direct involvement of the youth in climate smart, because this is a very important virtue so far.
You know, most of the schooling was that you just need to be schooled and then you go to an office, and they were shown like touching the soil is something dirty. But now we are telling them, even you, the youth, just know one thing: soil is money, and agribusiness is only based on the soil. And once you learn the right skills of agribusiness, the population of Kenya is growing. We are being projected to be 60 million in the next 2 years. So where would the food come from? Will we still be importing from Tanzania and Uganda and the other places? No, we need to be able to use the parts that we have to produce more, but using less inputs.
But now talk to us about the challenges, because I know dealing with youth is not easy, especially converting them to be agriculturalists. Tell me how you deal with that.
Today we are telling the youth employment opportunities are reducing, but what counts is not about where you are, it's about what is in your pocket. And if people in Uganda and Tanzania are getting money that Kenyans are making in Nairobi, while for you, you are going hungry, what's the problem there? You just need to reverse the situation. Produce what people in Nairobi are eating, and they give you that money because they have the money. The only question is who is getting it. And that's now whereby we are telling the youths that you don't need to look at where the money is coming from. What you need to look at is what is in your pocket, because money is what counts. It's not about whether it was from the soil or whether it was from which other places.
So we've done livestock section and we are the crop section, but also just from an expert perspective, for these youth, when they look at the future, where should they specialize? Is it livestock? Is it crops?
What we do is that we introduce both of the perspectives to them. So the first year they do both crops and animals, but then in the second year they do the specialization. And basically some of them who do the specialization is because some of them want to go and do their employment. But for those who want to do their own agribusiness, they focus on both because they know that if you have your own farm, it's good to have a good mix, because as you have seen, we are even having the production of organic matter to replace, organic fertilizer to replace most of the synthetic fertilizers. So as you can see, we are mixing both crop residue and livestock residue, that is dung, so that you can be able to get some very good organic matter in the soil. There is also having the biofertilizer that helps the crops.
Now that we have all the crops ready and also we have livestock, tell me, do these youth benefit from this project?
There are two benefits that this farm gives to YMCA. Number one, it's part of the training area, the demonstration pro, to show that yes, it's happening here and it has the benefit that you don't need to go elsewhere to do these things. Number two, it's a source of income, and it saves income in two ways. Some of the crops are used to feed the students, while the excess is sold for a profit. So it means that it reduces the strategies of the institution having to go looking for some of these things because they are already here in the farm.
And Derito, since we are in Limuru and the weather pattern here is quite different from other regions, could be dry, semi-arid, do you train these youth on the different weather patterns across the country?
Yeah, actually that's a very good question because as you can see, we are also introducing greenhouses. So greenhouse training and technologies will be it's part of the curriculum. In addition now to the other systems where we talk about irrigation, and irrigation we are talking about also the ones that are more water efficient, like we are having the drip irrigation. We are also having now the froppy that is coming to mimic the rain. And for big farms, you've seen like where you have a lot of big investment, the sprinkler irrigation, including now the center pivot, like the one that you see in Naivasha, the one that is quite huge. So it's dependent on the amount of money somebody has to invest in, and also at the same time also it's dependent on what crop you're doing. Some crops are fitted for drip irrigation and some others are not. Like you can see here, whether in Limuru, when you want to do some of these things like the capsicums and the tomatoes, you know, those ones require a lot of higher temperatures. So those ones can only be done better in a greenhouse. But now you see there are other crops that fits this weather well, and that's what we are basing most of the production on, what we are good at, and also where you don't have to use a lot of inputs.
So that's also why you don't have herbs. You have not noticed?
Herbs we are doing, and we also want to introduce more because like one of the herbs that is becoming very popular is like rosemary, and we're also now seeing others like basil and the others, because it's all dependent on the market. So we are also listening to the market, and once we get to know what the market requires, we'll do more production of that.
Derito, would you allow me to speak to some of the youth here? Because I already talked to the livestock specialists. Now I'd like to talk to the crop specialists.
Actually, they are right here, and it will be a disservice for you not to talk to them. So just welcome and talk to them because that's the right thing.
In fact, let me join them in the farm, yeah?
Mimi nimegrow tu nikilima, sijakuwa nikilima sana. But when time yenye nilikuja kwa institution, kulima hapa nikafunza hii mambo na kulima, nikakuwa na passion kabisa. Wakanifunza how kureza haka kitu ina take two time. So you have unakuwa lazima uvumilie everything. So lazima ukuwe na challenges. Lakini kama uko na mtu anakuambia hii inaenda hivi. So everything goes with a step. Hata ukitaka if a parent wants to grow a child, lazima aende tu pole. Till akuwe mtu mzima. Like here in the crops, sasa tunafanya to the same. At the head, ukivumilia utapata kitu kizuri sana.
There's a saying that says that to me, soil is everything. Soil is my life, soil is my marriage, soil is my career. So I would encourage youth outside there, especially with the rising economy, it is becoming stiff each and every day. I would encourage youth outside to venture into something which can bring income easier to them. Because this is your business, and when you do it, you are going to enjoy the income yourself. You don't need someone to employ you, you can employ yourself.
And have you noticed the passion that these young people have in regards to agriculture? It's just totally impressive. Surely, agriculture is the future. You can either pick one of them as your field manager. This might be your next field manager, your agronomist, veterinary officer, because you've seen the facility that they are in and you've seen the work that they really put in. They are actually on the ground making it happen. So thank you so much for being part of the show today. Until next time, I hope you've enjoyed this one. See you again next Sunday for yet another amazing Kilimo na Biashara show. My name is Linda Koskei.